The Icon Cup Series playoffs kick off tonight at the World Center of Racing in a special showing of what the Icon Cup Series is all about. 96 laps are ahead as 16 drivers look to punch their ticket to the round of 12 and move one step closer to a championship. Welcome to Pit Stop TV, the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Burtis alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the 2024 Icon Cup Series. Tonight's coverage from Daytona is brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, by ATVO, and by CC's Business. And Zach, it's back to where it all began, way back in February. Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing in Daytona Beach, the high banks of Florida. I'm excited to get this race started. 96 laps up ahead, and we're going to be racing into the evening and hopefully under the lights by the end of this one. We are going to see, I think, gloves come off right away. There's no time to waste in stage one. Points are up for grabs, points that you need to get. But let's talk about this racetrack and why it's going to be so gloves off, Zach. Of course, the draft, well, we all know it. We're going to see 2-3 wide racing. We might even see some 4 wide racing, and we're seeing more drivers this race than we have in at least 5-6 weeks, if not longer, if not a couple of months. We're up to 33 at least as we end practice.
Yeah, I was going to say, Andrew, it seems like Daytona always, not even just Daytona, Andrew, just super speedways like to draw out the crowds, and not just the crowds in the stands, the crowds in terms of field size. Like you said, we're getting upwards of 30 drivers tonight. It's going to be somewhat of a slugfest for these guys because now you've got extra drivers on track. That means extra points up for grabs, but that also means extra points to lose. And at a track like Daytona, it's very, very easy to lose those points. You can slide out of the draft so quickly. The sucker hole, as they call it, or the sucker spot sometimes, where you get stuck in the middle. Nobody wants to help you, and you go back. And one thing we have noticed a lot with this next-gen car when it comes to super speedway racing is there are 2 defined lines for them to work with. It is going to be that outside or that inside line right on that double yellow line. There is no in-between. That's where these cars seem to have the best standpoint moving through the field and just, being good on fuel saving. So I think as we roll out of a regular season into the playoffs, we picked a good place to start it.
That we did. Here's a look at the season schedule. Daytona this evening, kicking off the round of 16. We'll go to Darlington next week on a Monday and go racing on Labor Day for round 27. Then it's off to Atlanta to round out this first round of the playoffs. It's Watkins Glen, Bristol, and Kansas for the round of 12. Round number 2 is Talladega, Charlotte, and Las Vegas, Miami, Martinsville, and Phoenix to end the season. The schedule in mind, let's take a look at point standings coming into this evening. And Zach, things have changed a little bit. This is the first time we don't see any green wins. And oh, man, I forgot to put in the win column this afternoon. But it's been a long day here at the Cardinale household. Anyways, Brian Smith with, 11 wins now at 57 plus to the cut line. Vincent Loria at 37. Nathan Finnegan, 29. Ryan Patty, 17. Those drivers are relatively safe. Everybody else, this is a complete solid toss-up. Everybody's going to be in the mixing bowl and just toss all around, and we don't know who's going to be on top or who's going to be on bottom when this thing is over. This is a chaotic place to start these playoffs and a chaotic way to move these guys all around going into the one intermediate, the one normal kind of racetrack, which is anything but normal next week at Darlington.
Yeah, and you can see just how much winning in the regular season has mattered. Look at those top 4 drivers. Brian Smith, plus 57 after 10 wins in the regular season. Vincent Loria, 37 up. Finnegan, 29, and Patty, 17. And then the rest of the field, they're all within striking distance of each other. The top 4 drivers have just driven away from everyone. And then you've got all the way down into the 12th spot where Kevin Gunther is. He's 1 point to the good. Zach Lockett, Cody Eldred, Sean Purcell, Brock Hersey, all 4 of those drivers tied, respectively, for that last spot in, or at least a spot to get up to Kevin Gunther. Then you've got Bissonette, who missed the last couple of weeks. He's only two points up. Adam Ball, Timmy Harper, all these guys, they could lose these points so easily, Andrew, especially with stage points up for grabs. There is so much that could happen at Daytona. It's really, anyone could win this race. It's a roll of the dice on what's going to happen.
Absolutely, it is Daytona. Anyone can win this race. So let's finish up with the point standings and get down trackside for qualifying. Zach, it's going to be a fun one this afternoon. Weather conditions, we can check them out quickly. 85 degrees in the air, 92 on track. A pretty decent day for racing for sure. I mean, picture perfect nearly, as Cameron Thompson is currently atop the speed charts in this qualifying session. You'll notice as well on the ticker, there are green numbers and there are blue numbers. The blue numbers are playoff drivers. The green numbers are your non-playoff drivers. So you can follow along with us as Charlie Widener now goes to the top of the board in car 95, and he has got speed.
That he does. Look at him ripping that yellow line. There's no way we can really talk about drivers using different lines or different tactics to be able to improve their qualifying effort, unless somehow, some way they invent a way in iRacing for you to stick your hand up against the window for these drivers to push that air aside. But everyone's going to pretty much be running the same line for every single qualifying lap as Widener comes around turn number 4, and he is looking at that flag stand as he comes across the line. What's it going to be? That is 49.72. That's going to put him second.
Good for second, right behind Adam Ball. Brad Delph now goes to third. Ryan Patty fourth. Kevin Gunther fifth. Eric Smith bumps into the sixth position. A couple other drivers that are just hitting the racetrack include Logan Romney, Curtis Bishop, making a couple of their first starts of the season, and Brian Smith, who's on lap 2 here. Lap 1 did not count for Brian, so as he exits turn number 4 and drives to the start-finish line, this is the one lap of record for car 78. He's going to dip down onto the apron through the tri-oval. It's a 49.731. That's good, but not good enough for pole. It'll be 5th place for Brian Smith.
And starting positions don't matter too much at Daytona, Andrew. I think we both know that.
Well, they will a lot for stage 1, and track position is going to be key for stage 1 and earning those points. And I think people are going to sleep. I think a lot of drivers are sleeping. I think a lot of drivers are going to sleep on just how important those stage 1 points are going to be for the rest of the playoffs.
That they will, as I kind of talked over you a little bit there, but Nathan Finnegan goes to the top by about 0.05 of a second over Adam Ball. We look at Sean Purcell now. He's coming to the line to finish his second lap. First lap might have been a throwaway lap. He comes across the line. That's going to be a slower lap, actually.
Wonder what went wrong for the 04. That was a sour way to end qualifying. Logan Romney will come to the stripe and wrap up his qualifying run. It'll be a 49.705. Whoa, hang on. That is good for second spot. Finnegan had a monster lap. Romney has a slightly less monster lap, even though he's got monster on the side of the car. Yeah, that's a solid lap there for car 42 as qualifying comes to a close. That was a last-second buzzer-beater kind of lap there, going straight to second on the board for Logan Romney. And there we go. The sunset just kind of immediately rolls its way in, and we will turn the lights on here shortly. Let's go ahead and meet your starting grid. 33 cars strong. Never mind, Zach, we have a warm-up session first. I forget that sometimes. In Icon, we've got that warm-up session that just holds us up a little bit. A lot of leagues don't do that. Some leagues do. I'm glad we have it in Icon. I just forget about it sometimes. Well, an opportunity then, Zach, to look over the Whiplash SimCam's race details as drivers hit the racetrack. And first up, the fact that this is a 96-lap race, the stages are not at all equivalent. We expect the fuel run to be somewhere around 23, 24 laps, 25 even. So the fuel window is 22 to 26. Stage 1 should be a straight up just run to the end of the stage. Stages 2 and 3 should be 1 stops.
That it should, and I think the biggest thing that's a takeaway from the race details, 4 change sets. When was the last time you changed tires in a Daytona race, Andrew?
Well, it will be important, I think, to do at least once or twice. But yes, 100%, I think at some of these stops, we'll see guys go fuel only, if not just right sides or something like that. Tires are not nearly as important here as they are anywhere else on the schedule. Atlanta, certainly you need tires, being that it is tighter and more narrow and a little more handling dependent. But Daytona and Talladega, you really don't need them much. But I would say still take a set or two because you're going to stabilize your race car. And in traffic, you want that stability. That's always been my rule of thumb on plate tracks. While, yes, you don't really need tires, you want that stability if you want to make moves at least at the end of the race. So at least sometime by the end, you want to take those tires and make sure your car is stable to make moves in case you need to.
I can't argue with that, but I think the other thing that I'm looking at when it comes to the race details is stage 2. You know, we have the approximate fuel number around 22, 26 laps, so if you really wanted to, you could try to stretch it and run a little long, but, you know, one thing that you always seem to point out to me when it comes to the races is that moving into stage 2, they're already running under caution laps, so they're already saving fuel by the time they're back on the racetrack. Maybe, just maybe, do we see someone try to stretch it through stage 2, even if we do have maybe 1 or 2 cautions?
If we have cautions, sure, but without cautions, there's no way you save 10 laps to go the distance there. That would be still, even after pitting, a 34-lap stage or so. You're going to need about 10 laps of saving still, and this is a pretty generous pit window. Now, it might be a little bit higher on that end. We might even see 27 laps, but you're still talking about saving nearly 10 laps. I don't think we see that this evening. It's a good thing to bring up for sure, because I think we'll see it if we get some cautions, but under green, there's no way.
See a couple of drivers here practicing pit practice. One of the Purcell brothers, Kyle Purcell that was, coming down into the pit lane. We got on board with Steven Tuck. And one thing that I am still not used to in this next-gen race car is the fact that you're still cranking so low RPMs in 4th and 5th gear that you can shift down into 4th gear and pull up and gain a run at these super speedways, upshift straight to 5th, carry that momentum, and use it for a slingshot. It still baffles me how they're able to do that in these cars with the setups for the Daytona Speedway. I never really expected something like that, Andrew.
It is interesting to go around in 5th gear because it sounds like you're going so slow. The engine turns so few RPMs. It's just a little bit odd, in my opinion, but yeah, we'll see it come into play. I think these guys should stay in 5th gear all night long. Maybe in single car situations like we saw Ryan Patty there for a second, you'll drop down into 4th, but we should see 5th gear throughout the course of the night. Warm-up finishing up in a second, Zach, and while these guys wrap up this session, we can take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV, because next up, Zach, we go racing on a short track. It's Bristol Motor Speedway, 2 high bank racetracks this week. Bristol and Slinger, 2 really high bank short tracks. We have Bristol for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, and then Slinger for the 1-8 Coffee Company, or sorry, 1-8 Racing Media National Tour. I gotta fix that graphic. A lot of fixing I need to do, apparently, but the 1-8 Racing Media National Tour heads out to Slinger this week. Should be a lot of fun. Oxford this past week, that was fun. Zach, thoughts going into Slinger for those guys?
Pray. That's all I can say is pray. Slinger is so tight. These guys in the Sarah Super Series, they know exactly what they're doing around that racetrack. But then again, tempers still flare. You've got Alex McCullum, Ryan Kuhn, Jacob Harberts, Cole Cabry. All these guys are coming off a little bit of aggravation from Oxford Plains. I will say there was some tempers being shown at that racetrack, and I don't know if you remember the last time we went to Slinger with Sarah, there was some definite controversy coming to the flag.
Cole Cabry, Jacob Harberts had a heck of a finish. Well, we'll talk more about that on Thursday. For now, we're at the Daytona International Speedway. The sun has just about set. The lights are on here, and we're ready to go racing. Let's meet our 33-car grid. On pole, none other than our most recent winner, Nathan Finnegan. Winner at Michigan is going to start from the first spot. Logan Romney going to start from second, a part-timer on the front row at Daytona, just ahead of Adam Ball and Charlie Widener, a couple of playoff drivers. Evan Patinko, Brad Delph will grid up in the 5th and 6th spots. Both these drivers missed the playoffs this season. Interesting that they're able to start so high up this evening, considering they aren't racing for points. They netted some really solid qualifying runs, but unfortunately, no longer running for a championship. Starting 7th and 8th, it'll be Ryan Patty, Brian Smith, a couple of the top drivers this season. And to round out your top 10, Kevin Gunther and Eric Smith.
Lots of big names up there in the top 10, Andrew. Joshua Clemens and Zach Lockett, they're going to be starting from the 11th and 12th spot, just one row outside of the top 10. 13th and 14th on the night, Cameron Thompson and Jacob Smith, 2 drivers that might actually have a good shot at winning tonight. I think they showed some solid times. Steven Tuck, Vincent Loria, probably one of the lowest starting drivers in the playoffs tonight, starting 16th with Steven Tuck to his inside in that 15th spot. Anthony Tiseo and Jacob Gladchulich, they'll be rolling off from the 15th and 18th spot tonight. And then rolling off from row number 10, Nathan Brzezowski and Brock Hersey.
Let's run through the rest of your field. Starting 21st spot, we're going to have Kyle Purcell. Alongside, it'll be Curtis Bishop making one of his first starts of the season. Starting 23rd and 24th, you'll find Hanover Fist and Sean Purcell, a couple of regulars, and Sean Purcell is in the playoffs this season. You'll see the yellow splitter and spoiler colors and banner colors on that machine. Cody Eldred also in the playoffs. He'll start 25th. Christian Snyder out of the playoffs, making his first start of the season, will start 26th. Robert Blue and Heath Smith, a couple of non-playoff drivers in row 14. And back to row 15. We'll find Timothy Harper and Charlie Woods. Harper in the playoffs, won at Bristol earlier this season, has been a little bit here and there since. He starts from 29th spot as Justin Bissonette looks to be our final playoff starter of the evening, starting from 31st alongside Kyle Gilbert and in front of Bryant Lucas. 33 cars in all. Good to have you here this evening as these guys roll on by our static shots around the racetrack. It's been a pleasure all season long. Finally, we've made it back to Daytona. The lights are on. The sun is down. Temperatures are cooling and tensions are rising as we're about to go racing for 96 laps at the Daytona International Speedway. Strap in, pull those belts tight one more time. We're about to go racing in the Geico Restart Zone. We are green for race 26. I love that sound. I will never get tired of it as these guys rip down the Daytona Superstretch. Lap number 1, Brad Delph leading the outside line. A couple of Greg Biffle lookalikes leading the bottom side. It's Finnegan and Ball down low. Widener in the third spot down there. Patinko in line as well.
Looks like everyone's just trying to get down to the bottom line. We saw a couple of drivers have to go to the rear on the start of the race, and now they're all just training on the bottom. You don't have a lot of help up top, Andrew. There doesn't seem to be any momentum forming at the moment, but as I say that, Brian Smith still trying to push that 72 of Delph past the 95 of Widener, as well, everyone, like I said, still trying to find a way to the bottom.
A reminder as the ticker comes up for the first time in race conditions, the blue numbers, those are your playoff drivers. There's 16 of them. The green numbers are out of the playoffs, as you have a couple of them leading Finnegan and Ball, with now a run from Brad Delph on the top side being helped by Brian Smith in the 78 car. So lap 2, we're starting to see that outside line come in, and I think these guys will be mostly side by side all night long. We shouldn't see much separation, I don't think, in that regard. We don't have much fuel saving to do. It's not a fuel mileage race. This should be a straight up just run to the end in every stage with the one stop in stages 2 and 3. We're going to see, I think, mostly pack racing all night long.
We see Delph trying to poke his nose out in front of Finnegan as they are still side by side for that race lead. We're side by side about 4, 5, maybe 6 rows deep back there as the outside line is starting to form up a little bit better. Delph is going to clear that inside line, but he's not going to leave his drafting partner hanging. Brian Smith still on that back bumper of that 72 machine. And that's the big thing in super speedways is Delph drops right to the bottom. He saw the run coming. Finnegan's on the bumper, and now Eric Smith is going to move to the top.
Eric Smith pushing Brian Smith, his nephew, to the race lead. Brian Smith was nervous about these plate tracks. We still call them plate tracks, but these super speedways of Daytona and Atlanta Motor Speedway. He was very concerned about these two races in particular. He's our regular season champion. He has 57 points at the cutoff line, nearly a full race of points. I think he's going to be okay, Zach, and leading this early, I think, should calm his nerves.
It just might. It gets you a little bit easier of a mindset when you know you have a car that can lead at Daytona, and you also know that you have partners behind as you see more people moving around in the screenshot right there. Brian Smith still side by side with Brad Delph, and it looks like he might get the nose coming off of turn number 4, so he will be able to lead this lap. And the one thing that strikes me about plate tracks or super speedways, as they're more commonly referred to now, is you can still treat it somewhat like a normal racetrack. Go down to the bottom in the corners, stay up top on the straightaways, because that's where the run's form. The inside line pushes really good through these corners, but the outside line has more momentum carrying as you go on to the straightaways, because that's where you're going to be blocking on these straightaways.
Down the back stretch, Brad Delph inside, Brian Smith outside. Very calm and orderly for now at the front of the field. Reminder, these guys are racing only to the end of lap 21 here in stage 1. It's going to be quick fire for these guys. We're already a quarter of the way through this stage as we look to complete lap number 5. Now, we saw a couple of drivers go to the back end of the field. Justin Bissonnette is actually working off of the... Oh, he's spun. I thought he was off the pit lane. He's got a problem here in the 06 car. This could be a caution. It looks like he's going to tow. What just happened to Justin Bissonnette? These are playoff implications for the first time.
That they are. Big implications for him. Like we talked about earlier, he was not that far above the cut line to begin with.
Into turn 3. Bissonnette riding up top. I would hate to imagine that he's got more wheel issues.
I would hope not. He's still riding.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. The wheel locked up on him.
Oh, no. And that looks like it's just yanking itself to the right. And now he's stuck.
Watch it here. Watch the hands just go full lock left, and the brakes go on right in traffic. They are so lucky that he didn't get hit. I don't know who that was right behind him. We're going to find out. That was the 32, Cody Eldrin. He has never been luckier in his life. Watch this.
Bissonnette right in front. You can see he's just riding a pretty line, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Wow.
That's got to be scary to see. I would absolutely not want to be in that position myself, because I probably would have run right into him.
A couple of Smiths now leading the field as Vincent Loria has pushed Jacob Smith to the front of the bottom lane. It's Brian Smith up top, Jacob Smith down low, and Jacob Smith is going to lead lap number 7. So things changing up front just a little bit as we get closer to halfway in stage 1.
That we do. And you can see Loria has pushed him out. They're both rotating to the top there, Andrew. That's an interesting move to pull into the corner, because Brad Delph now has a bit of a run. 1 and 2. He's going to pull alongside the 21 car. Now, the lanes have evened up once again, but Brian Smith right on the back bumper of Vincent Loria. That's one thing I don't know if I can agree with, Andrew. That's the big thing that I was always taught when it comes to super speedway racing. Never push the pusher. Do not lay into that car that is pushing the lead car, because that can upset and cause accordion effects.
Well, they get through it for now as your top 3 get single file on the top. Now make it top 4 all clear down to the bottom if they wanted it. But they stay up top, and I think the top is...
Oh, I don't know.
I think the top is more or less the better place to be tonight. I think it's the stronger lane of the two, and they stay up there for now. I think what Smith and Loria are trying to do is control the top side and put Brian Smith a little bit further back, try and earn some more stage points for that 67 car and help him be further to the good, as Brad Delph is going to get shuffled out of line and put into the sucker hole. Nobody wants to be behind the 72 car, it looks like.
This is what we talked about early on, Andrew. The possibility of getting put there, and here's Loria looking to that bottom line.
Well, they're working together. They're in the same team channel, Jacob Smith and Vincent Loria.
That's an interesting move to pull then, to look that low, especially when Brian Smith looked like he was going to go with him. I think that sends a weird message to the driver behind on what you're planning on doing, but at the same time, Andrew,
got to get air.
Yeah, it's true. I was about to say, you know, when I'm running a super speedway, the big thing that I like to do is I like to push and then pull about half a lane down or up, regardless of wherever we are on the racetrack, to keep air on the nose, so that way I can still push effectively while at the same time not losing any ground.
There's a couple of cars at the back end of the field that have lost the draft, those being Robert Bluen and Hanover Fist. Everybody else is under a 2-second wide blanket from Jacob Smith all the way down through Curtis Bishop in 29th position in the 34 car. Everybody in one draft, aside from those couple of stragglers at the back and Justin Bissonnette, who's in the pit lane, now 7 laps down.
I think if you're Bissonnette, the big thing that you want to see is your competition that is so close to you on points, you do not want to see them earn any stage points whatsoever. You want to see them finish towards the back, and not earn stage points. That way you still have somewhat of a chance rolling into Atlanta next week, as the top 3 are starting to pull away a little bit, but Eric Smith now pulling right back up to that 78 car, as we've got 2 Greg Biffle lookalikes still leading that bottom line. The first 5 fully clear of the pack. They can pull down if they want to, but I think they're all going to stay up there on that top line that has now built up so much momentum.
A very strong top side right now, leading this race. Clemens all the way in the 6th position, now clear to the bottom if he wanted it. That brings Zach Lockett clear as well in the 5th spot. They could drop down, and through the corner, here comes Finnegan with a bit of a run. He's going to bring the 19 of Adam Ball, but nobody changing lanes. It's very interesting, especially as the top 5 are the only drivers that will earn stage points here in these stages tonight. 6th place, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. They don't earn stage points. It's only the top 5, Zach. That's why we're going to see these guys slug it out for these stage points early in this race. They're a premium, and they're going to help you a ton in these playoffs.
Like I mentioned earlier, Andrew, these guys want to run the bottom or they want to run the top. There's no in between. We saw Delph get sucked back in the middle. Nobody wanted to go with him. You're not going to see that middle line get utilized until later on in the race, when everyone's throwing those haymaker last attempt moves to be able to get themselves up to the front. We see Jacob Smith now pulling a bit away from Victoria, but he's going to close right back up. You let him get out in front just a little bit. That's going to start a little bit of an accordion effect up on the top as well. You see Brian Smith, excuse me, on the back bumper once again of the 67. These drivers are being patient with each other, but I want to say they're also being respectively aggressive, if that's a term that could be used here.
Respectively aggressive. I'll have to think about it for a little while, maybe put it through a process, I don't know, but that's a new one for me, as the top 5 get single file and clear of the bottom side on the top. I mean, this top side is just stronger, and I gotta believe that these guys who are leading this race up top right now are gonna stay here for at least a while here in the stage until the Smiths start really going after it. We got, by the way, 3 Smiths in the top 4. Jacob, Brian, and Eric all stacked at the very front of this field. Vincent Loria, the only one breaking them up. But when Brian Smith starts to look around, I think that's when all hell is going to break loose at this stage, as we nearly have some 3 wide here in the back end of the top 10.
That we do. Everyone now rotating up a little bit towards the middle line, trying to side draft a little bit. 3 Greg Biffle lookalikes on the bottom, and you and I were talking about this, Andrew. We saw a lot of these guys join into this race, and I feel like they were all trying to go for the Greg Biffle meme that NASCAR monikered when someone did an AI race and all of the cars were Greg Biffle, and it was extremely confusing, and I can see why it's extremely confusing.
Well, it was Travis Moonhead Brown before he rose to all of his fame as Moonhead. And, you know, I've met the guy a couple of times and respect everything he does. He kind of started this whole thing with, as you say, an AI race full of Greg Biffle paint schemes around here at Daytona. And it was picked up, it was during the pandemic, it was picked up by NASCAR and NBC and by, I think, maybe even NASCAR themselves on social media. I'm not thrilled, only because I have to try and decipher who each one is, as Jacob Smith goes down and blocks the inside lane of Nathan Finnegan, Adam Ball, and Ryan Patty. Somehow Patty got up here, and he is helping those 3 cars now on the bottom side, and Finnegan is jacking up the 21 car as the 21 continues to block the 6 car all the way to the top side of the racetrack.
See what I mean by respectively aggressive?
That was definitely aggressive out of both drivers. The block from Smith and then the push from Finnegan, very aggressive here this early in the race, and that now leaves his other couple of teammates down low, Adam Ball and Ryan Patty, so I'm a little bit confused as to why Finnegan's doing this. He's also now going to overheat his car if he's not too careful.
The way it all worked out is still kind of confusing to me, Andrew. You had Finnegan leading that bottom line.
And they were strong.
They somehow got a run, and it pushed them in front of Loria. So nobody really lost any ground up at the top. You just stuck another car in there and kept them rolling.
I'm a little bit confused.
Each other.
And there goes Finnegan. He's going to sink back now. That's going to hold that bottom lane up, I'd imagine. They might pull up, actually, as here comes Ball and Patty. I think they're going to surprise us a little bit. But Finnegan's going to fall back to him, and I wouldn't be surprised if that stacks him up. Yeah, it's going to stack him up a little bit because he was going slower as he bared the full brunt of all of that air. I'm a little confused, but hey, we're getting down to the end of stage 1 here. Only a few laps to go. 4 laps to go, it looks like, in stage 1.
Maybe this is why they're starting to turn up the aggression level. They want to get some stage points. These playoff guys know that every point matters throughout this first round, especially when you've got 2 super speedways to worry about. So maximize the points where you can. As we see the bottom line starting to form up a little bit more with these front 3 cars. They've pulled away from Widener right behind them. So the top 3 are still working really well together. And that's one thing that has surprised me as well about this next-gen car, is that somehow, some way, the tandem draft has come back slightly. It still can work. 3, even 2 cars can utilize the same amount of momentum as a full pack. So the fact that they're pulling away from that bottom line is still incredibly shocking to me. But you see Finnegan trying to pull back up. We've only got about 2 laps to go in the stage, and now he's side by side once again for that lead.
2.5 laps remain for stage number 1, and you can see just how even these 2 lines are. The top side with a run, Finnegan backs up now to Adam Ball, and Finnegan's going to go to the rear here. I don't know, maybe he doesn't like the look of what's going on, but he's going to drop back now, 3rd in line. The other thing, Zach, is Ball could have been overheating.
It's a possibility. You know, Indian runs is how we were taught coming up in karting. You go from the bottom up to the top, you let them go through, and then you fall back in line. And there are different names for them, but I was always taught it was Indian runs. And Adam Ball now leading that bottom line as we've got 1 lap to go in the stage, and he's got a big run here, Andrew. 2 laps, excuse me.
A lap and a half now as we work down the backstretch. Adam Ball with a big push from Ryan Patty. That's going to help this 19 car get out alongside with the 21 maybe through turns 3 and 4. That is a big, big push. And that 19 is gonna surge ahead for the race lead. Look at that. Adam Ball straight to the front. The top side left wondering what was going on as they're 3 wide behind him with Patinko and Lockett. Lockett actually got through. So Patinko and Teseo side by side alongside of the 10 car of Tuck. That's the 3 wide as the leaders have completely shaken up these National Guard paint schemes straight to the point.
They've taken Gladulus with them as well. There's 4 or 5 cars now clear on the bottom, and now with the 3 wide battle behind, we've separated. Look at this as they roll down the back straightaway. 2 packs now, a big pack of what looks like the top 10, maybe the first 12 it seems, and then you've got Loria back there leading that second group from what it looks like.
Color me shocked here.
Yeah, me too, Andrew. Rolling off turn number 4. Ball, Patty, Finnegan, and Gladulus, and they fight coming to the line.
Going to be a drag race, but Adam Ball is going to win stage number 1. Finnegan will go 2nd. There's not the caution yet. There's the caution. And the problem with that caution being late is it's going to shake up the actual running order of these guys. So the caution is going to mess with this a little bit. But let's go back and take a look at exactly who was where at the end of the stage. You can back this up and slow it down. It's going to be Adam Ball to the line first, then Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, Jacob Gladulus, and Charlie Widener. It looks like across the stripe. Patinko takes 6th, and I must have called him as in that side-by-side, that 3 wide earlier. He was not. That was somebody else. Maybe Timothy Harper.
We had Jacob Smith 7th, Clements 8th, Brian Smith 9th, and Zach Lockett ended up 10th out of that mix.
But remember, it's only the top 5 that get stage points.
True. However, I was still looking through, just trying to make sure everyone was where they were supposed to be in case anybody might have missed on stage points moving forward. But everything all worked out, Andrew. Everyone was able to get their stage points. We have our stage 1 winner. And now we have to make sure everyone can make it back around and get their pit stops underway.
They should have just enough fuel to come back around, and Adam Ball, your stage 1 winner, will be 2nd into the pit lane, so it'll shake things up a little bit with the caution being a little bit later, but you saw teammates run there to the stripe. The 3 National Guard cars that have been out front. There's 3 more in this field. Kevin Gunther, Brock Hersey, and Cody Eldred. They've been deeper in the field so far today, but still just very interesting. The way that ended up working out, the bottom side, I think what we've learned here, Zach, is the bottom side may have been holding back that entire first half and really even first 3 quarters of the stage, and then just decided to go there at the end. I really thought we had it down pat as to what was going on, but it seems like we might have been wrong. I really think they were hanging back and waiting, and then just let it go. I'm a little more confused now than I was during the stage, honestly.
You got me pretty confused right now.
Well, I think they were sitting back and waiting, and I think they just decided to go full throttle only there at the end of the stage. I think that was all a strategy move.
It's definitely a good strategy move, I will say, for Daytona. And now we see all these guys in pit road taking a lot of their tires, most of them going right sides only. Finnegan taking 4. You can see the race off pit road. A lot of drivers opted to go fuel only or 2 right side tires. Our stage 1 winner, he lost a number of positions. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots at least for our stage 1 winner. Brian Smith came out right behind him. Gladulich jumped up as well. Lot of changing of the guard here. Changing of the guard, no pun intended, for these National Guard drivers.
Let's dial up driver 19 this evening and talk with our stage 1 winner, Adam Ball. Stage 1 winner of Daytona. That's always a good way to start the playoffs for sure. Get yourself that first stage win, all those stage points. How's the car feel so far?
It feels real good, but then again, it is Daytona, so it feels good no matter where you're at. But yeah, I'll take a stage win. I think that's the first one of the season.
And I think you guys taught us a lot about how to play the stages, because for a while there, we thought you guys just couldn't hang with the top side, and clearly you could. All of a sudden at the end, just pushing to the front. How touch and go is it? Are you able to just get a run going that quickly and surprise us like you did right there in stage 1?
Now, early on in the run, we were just staying a quarter, half a car length back, just biding our time. At the end there, got a good push from Patty, and that really, I think, was the big deal and pushed me up there.
And of course, there's 6 of you Greg Biffle lookalikes. Is there a plan here in stage 2 to get the other 3 up with the 3 of you guys that were at the front? Is there a plan to get the 6 of you all together?
As long as all 6 of us are there by the end of the race, that's all that matters.
There you go, Adam Ball, stage 1 winner here at Daytona International Speedway. Congratulations. Hopefully we're talking to you later.
Thank you.
So stage 1 win for Adam Ball. He's going to double up with these guys and get in line. I'm still just so surprised that they were able to come on strong like that right at the end of the stage, Zach. Not to get too colloquial with it, but I thought they were cooked.
Honestly, so did I. I thought the way everything had shuffled around and the way everyone was looking to be in the middle of the stage was where we were going to end it. And then everyone just started surging around, moving all over the place. Everyone started getting shuffled. You saw Vincent Loria, who was up there. He got shuffled back. Brian Smith got shuffled back. I don't know where the strategy calls are right now when it comes to these drivers, but I do know for a fact that if they keep that up, that maybe one of those National Guard drivers are going to go to victory lane tonight.
If they've got this thing that figured out, yeah, there's 6 of them. That's pretty good chances for sure to put one of them in victory lane by the end of this race. But there are still 27 other drivers that want to win this race just as badly, if not more badly. And who knows what's going to happen as we work only lap 25 of 96. A long ways to go, about a quarter of the way through, just over a quarter of the way through this race. And we've really only talked about the top 10. It's been that kind of day already where the top 10 kind of steals the show. Everybody else kind of lurks around, Zach. But I think this stage is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little more traditional, where we actually cycle through the field a little bit, because we're going to have that pit stop at some point in this stage. 60% fuel load cannot go the distance of 36 laps for stage number 2. So things are going to be a little bit different for us for sure as we work down towards the start-finish line and to get this race back underway. A big thank you to Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Here we go for stage number 2 in the Geico Restart Zone. We are back green at Daytona. A big-time breakaway for your top 7 or so. Back to Charlie Widener. Call it now top 8 cars. Broken away at the front. There is no top line to start this stage off.
Yeah, everyone just decided to rotate to the bottom early. You see
Oh, Jacob Smith! A
came
big
right
block.
down on the nose. Oh my goodness, Charlie Widener. He's probably not too happy about that. That's going to allow Zach Lockett to fall in line. Looked like Vincent Loria was going to work with him, but I think Lockett saw the hole and said, you know what, I'm going to head on down there. And I think this is going to be, I know you said this is going to be a straight-up race, but this stage, to me, looks like it's going to be a fuel-saving run, or run it out as much as you possibly can. Whatever the choice it be, Jacob Smith rotates back up to the top. Him and Loria are going to have a huge run here. They're going to go right on by Adam Ball and Brian Smith right up there in front of them. I wonder if he's going to try to rotate up to the top as well, carry the momentum forward. No, he's going to stay tucked in on the bottom. And Vincent Loria is staying hooked to the back bumper of that 21. This is the thing you want to see, Andrew. Make your friends and make them now, because they will be the ones pitting with you come time for green flag stops.
Stephen Tuck now in the top 5 for the first time tonight. So the 10 car moving forward as Loria pushes Smith straight to the lead and goes right to the bottom side of the racetrack. Stephen Tuck goes with them, and here comes Joshua Clemens there in the 44 car. Oh, he's going to turn down and nearly, I think he made contact.
He just might have.
That was close with Ryan Patty.
Oh, and they're making it 3 wide now. Stephen Tuck getting put in the middle. Brad Delph with him. And Clemens is going around us sideways. Stephen Tuck. Brad Delph gave him quite a push right there. And it looks like that push is going to propel them back to 3 wide racing. Tuck clear of the 44. Brad Delph going to get clear of the 44. And now we're back to 2 wide throughout this field. That was a bit of a hair-raising moment right there.
You know, Bryant Lucas is one of our broadcast team members, and he's running this race this evening, and he told us that early on in practice, these guys were advised not to push in the corners. That big push from Brad Delph nearly wadded up half this field.
That it did. Pushing in the corners is never a good idea. There are some that can do it. I will admit there are some that can do it, that can push in these corners and still make it work, but that is an extremely aggressive move. You have to be prepared for when it comes up to you. And usually, I don't know how most of these drivers do it, but I know for a fact that when I'm spotting someone or I'm in the car, I usually call out when I'm coming up for a push. I'll give them a nice little countdown, tell them here's the push, and then there you go. It helps people expect it, and it gives these drivers a bit of a heads-up momentum moment, actually, to know that something's going to happen and you need to be prepared for it.
Lap 29 going complete here. Stephen Tuck on the top side, maybe having a little bit of a run. You saw Jacob Smith kind of fade out there a little bit, maybe even give some air to Vincent Loria, who knows. But the top end of this field now, a very different look from what we had in stage 1. This puts those National Guard cars a little ways behind the mark. They're not able to control this line if they want to. So that's going to change things up later in this stage as Stephen Tuck takes over the race lead.
Yeah, that 10 car has been moving up throughout the field. He is making himself known. He's not one of the playoff drivers here tonight, but actually brings up a solid point. Both these lanes are being led by non-playoff drivers. Someone's going to try to play spoiler tonight.
Absolutely, and here and at Atlanta in a couple of weeks, I think, are the biggest spoiler tracks. Talladega as well. I think that's more than fair to say. I think that's almost obvious to say. These are the 3 spoiler tracks where we could absolutely see somebody not in the playoffs go to victory lane and change things up a little bit. Meanwhile, here comes Joshua Clemens straight to the bottom side. He's going to try and control that lane now as his teammates actually go to the top. Jacob Smith and Vincent Loria just left the 44. Now the 44 moves up in front of the 21, and the top 3 are far and away clear.
Yeah, we're all spreading out right around here as they roll through 3 and 4, but one thing I actually ended up noticing, they're rolling up on the lap car. That's one factor that could play into it. It's Bryant Lucas. He went 1 lap down. I'm not sure how, but he's all by himself rolling through turns 1 and 2, and the leaders are coming up on him mighty quickly.
See some empty track behind him, but yes, they will be catching him soon. There he is on the backstretch, and Stephen Tuck is exiting turn number 2 right about now. So an unfortunate look there for car number 60, one of our broadcast members. We were going to dial him up during this stage, but seeing as how he's a lap down, maybe we won't just yet. Maybe we'll give him a little bit of time to get back in this race. I'm sure he would love a caution, and we're looking maybe in caution formation as the bottom side comes back with Ryan Patty leading the lane. That's Finnegan in second down there, and Gladulich third in line. I don't know how they got to the front of the field, Zach, but they did.
Attrition? I don't know what to say, honestly.
This is telling me that you cannot leave National Guard cars in control of a lane, because they are going to control the race. That's what I've learned so far in this first third of this race.
I'm right there with you, honestly. You see Bryant Lucas now in screenshot as these drivers are rolling up on him. They're going to have to find a way to effectively move around him. You could say that Bryant Lucas is going to find a way to insert himself into this pack, but they're catching him so quickly, Andrew. They're going to have to find a way to move around him. And Gladulich moved up to the top line. That's allowing Brian Smith to move third in line on that bottom line. And if he moves up, then that's going to put 3 National Guard cars right there leading the way on the bottom once again, like they did early on. And it'll be the same 3 cars, maybe just swapped around a little bit.
Yeah, Patty now leads the train, Finnegan second, and Brian Smith third. Gladulich and Lockett, Ball, Gladulich, Lockett complete a playoff top 6. Widener, the only other playoff driver in this top 10. A lot of these playoff cars have actually fallen back a little ways, pretty surprisingly. You've got Loria back there in 15th, Clemens in 13th, Gunther in 19th. I'm surprised because, again, stage points are going to matter a lot this evening. I know it's one of these super speedways and a lot can go wrong quickly, but you've got to play that risk. If you want to win a championship, you've got to take risks, and I think it starts here this evening at Daytona. You've got to go for these stage points to ensure that you're good at Darlington and Atlanta. We've got 3 really wild card racetracks. I know Darlington feels the most normal out of the 3, which is scary, honestly, when you think about it.
Calling Darlington normal, that's not 2 words that I would have thought would have been in the same sentence with each other.
Exactly, as it looks like the 60 of Bryant Lucas has parked it for the evening. He's brought it down to the pit lane and is calling it a day. Unfortunately for Bryant, and it looks like we will not be dialing him up this evening after all. Hopefully we hear from him soon, but having Darlington being the one normal track in the playoffs this season, well, in this first round of the playoffs, is a scary thing for all these drivers. So these stage points tonight are going to matter a ton. This sets the tone for the playoffs. No matter what happens at lap 96, obviously, yes, you want to be the one in victory lane. You want to preserve yourself, but you've got to get these stage points. You've got to capitalize. We've seen just how important they've been all year long.
That we have in the top 5, even the top 6 actually, are all dominated at the moment by playoff drivers. Tuck's the first one on that ticker you see in green. He's the first one not a playoff contender. The highest up out of all of those non-playoff contenders. Gladulich continues to lead that top line. Patty Finnegan, Brian Smith, Adam Ball, and Zach Lockett. They're all leading the charge on the inside line. See a couple of drivers moving around now, Andrew, trying to put some air on that nose. We saw some heavy pushes early on in this race, and now, as we're rolling up towards that halfway mark, within about, 10 laps now, we'll be up on that halfway mark. There is still a lot of energy really moving forward on that outside line that could push them forward to be side by side once again, but at the same time, we're also rolling up to a point where we're going to see some pit stops soon. Probably within the next 5, 6, maybe 7 laps, if I'm doing my math correctly.
In the back of this field is looking like they want to crash. I saw Robert Bluen shuffle to the top side there for a second in a 3-wide situation into the corner. That's not how you want these guys to be if you're the leaders. You do not want to have the back of the field crashing because that brings out a caution, and that can just add all kinds of crazy things to the mix. So a caution is not what really any of these guys want, I think. Bryant Lucas was the one driver I thought that might have wanted it. Now that he's out of the race, I think we've got 30 drivers left that do not want a caution flag, although I do see damage for one of these guys. It's Nathan Brzezowski. Look at the nose of that car.
He must have given someone a heavy push with that front end, because that is pushed in square, and it looks like the only thing that I can think of is that it was a heavy push, because the only other thing that it could have been was contact with a wall or a cone or something, but a heavy push would do him in, and that would more than likely garner an incident point.
That it would, and it wasn't to Hanover Fist, who's directly in front of him. It looks like Hanover's car is fine. Somebody, though, has got to have matching damage, you would think. Conventional wisdom would state, anyways, that...
Conventional wisdom also dictates that... I don't know.
That you
really?
Don't know. Oh, my. Oh, well. We're at lap 39 here. We're going to the end of lap 57 for stage number 2, so a little inside of 20 laps to go. In fact, call it 18 the last time by the stripe. We've entered the pit window here for stage 2.
That we have, and I don't see anybody coming in for a short pit, but it could be a benefit. It's time. It's that time of the race when Andrew and I start bouncing strategy off of each other, and I think the short pit is gonna be the way to go. Shorter pit stop gets you out in front faster. I think it would be the most beneficial move for these drivers if they're trying to maximize stage points.
This, of course, after you said earlier that you want to run it all the way out. I mean, there's...
I didn't say that. It didn't happen. It did not happen.
There's definitely two ways you can play this stage, and I think we're going to see most of the field stay together like this. This is the faster way to do it. I really think we're going to see everybody just go as far as they can. The problem with that is it makes pit lane a very busy place later in this run, where everybody's got to pit all at once, and the entry to the pit lane gets very, what's the word? I can't even think. Very jammed up, we'll say.
I'm thinking
also
bottleneck in.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Took me a minute, but I got it.
These fan cam shots, I think, give a whole new perspective to just how weird this racetrack can be sometimes, and how strung out these guys have gotten here in stage 2. I said earlier I thought this would be a very packed up race. Not so much. Stage 2, look at that. The top 6 cars are all single file on the bottom. Top lane is very strung out. The bottom lane just wraps around the corner. Strange, honestly, compared to what I thought we were going to have.
I think we're getting closer to pit stops, Andrew. Not to jump to a whole different topic, but I think we're getting pretty close to pit stops. I'm hearing a lot of drivers coming over the radio talking about how they want to move down to the bottom, get in there and get in line so that way they can be in a prime position to hit pit road. I heard someone, as we see Brzezowski makes his contact with Vincent Loria.
I don't think they hit, but it was close.
It was very, very close. I heard Eric Smith said he was trying to get to the bottom. We see that top line is just completely broken up.
Big stack up there. Loria's going to get into the Seo. He just got hit from behind by the 04 of Purcell. They really stacked up that time. The bottom line is just stacking further and further up. These guys are all prepping to go to pit lane. You see Eric Smith alone. There we go. Finally gets in line there with Joshua Clemens. So now the leader of the top side is all the way back here, Hanover Fist. Only 4 cars remain up top. Hanover Fist, Nathan Brzezowski, Robert Blewin, and it looks like Cody Eldred in the 32.
And there are a lot of holes to hop in line here as we go into the back half of this pack. Now everyone's just getting single file, and I think that one car back there, I'm not sure who that is. That is the 32 of Eldred. He realized that he was not going to be able to find a line or find a hole in the line up closer to the front of the pack, so he decided to let off, drop to the rear, and fall in line where he knew there was going to be someone to help him out. Now you've only got 3 cars. There we go.
The 22 is coming on in, the 227, and so many more all pit here on lap number 43 onto 44. So the pit lane, a busy place. Yeah, multiple cars did. There's Cameron Thompson, and so this is really the Harper Motorsports bunch. You've got Timmy Harper, you've got Christian Snyder, you've got Cameron Thompson, Kyle Vincent Gilbert, and Charlie Woods all in at the same time. Snyder is going to be left alone. He could not get it in his box. Everybody else looks like they're fine.
Could not get it in the box for the life of him. He looked like he was too far right and too far forward. So they had to make a really quick adjustment. Now we focus back on the leaders. Everyone single file, looking to see if there's any more takers to the pit lane. I'm not seeing anyone just yet, Andrew, so it looks like we're going to go another lap here with all these drivers staying out. But everyone's single file for the most part. One car up top, Tuck looking out of line there, but everyone's just falling in, getting a little spaced out, looking for a way to make sure they can make it to the pit lane safely and get down to pit road speed. There you see the group of cars that pitted beforehand not 2 laps ago, and they're going to lose big time if they miss their box.
The problem that I see here is how do you get packed up after the fact? This is going to be a very strung out end of the stage if we don't get a caution, which is going to make everybody at the front have that much more of an advantage. Here we go. The National Guard cars come on in. Gladulich comes in. I see Widener, Romney, Delph, and looks like Patinko all coming in here on lap 45. Purcell brothers are in. That is a large pack.
It's a very large pack.
About
I think
12 cars?
Group. It looks like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cars.
Oh, Patinko, no! All the way to the wall there.
Box.
He's going to line up with Schneider, it sounds like, as Patty's down and away quickly. Romney takes a little bit longer in the 42 car. He's now rolling. And, oh, Patinko might just hang on here with Charlie Widener. How lucky is that, to be that deep in the box and still have the draft on the way out?
That has got to be his saving grace, really. As we now look at the top 3, Brian Smith is going to be left alone.
But Lockett and Tuck. Lockett and Tuck come in. Here come all the KU Motorsports guys.
That's a big, big loss for Brian Smith. He's all by himself now. The closest car to him, Eric Smith, on the racetrack still. Zach Lockett's 10, 11 seconds falling back. He's got one car to help him. And that's got to be the biggest save for Brian Smith. Still having at least one car to help him stay in some sort of draft. That is Snyder.
Yeah, but look at Eric Smith all on his own. He's going to lose the draft for sure, I think. This is a long time to go with no draft and still hope to be in the field. So that's going to be a problem for the 79 car. Brian Smith has already put another second on him in this lap alone. Here comes Brian out of the pit lane. He might be okay, although deeper in the field, it's going to be a long road ahead for Eric Smith in the 79 car.
That it is. Brian Smith now on the pit lane. There's Eric Smith right behind him, much a ways. And now the focus shifts to the pack coming up on him. Does Brian Smith luck out here, or does he actually benefit? You see everyone's just strung out, like you said, but there's the big pack all around the top.
And look at this. Loria and Smith controlling the front of the race. They come out first. They're going to be in front of these National Guard cars who now go to the inside on the tri-oval. And that's going to shake things up as we're inside of 10 laps to go to the end of the stage. There goes Eric Smith getting passed up by all these guys. Where is Brian Smith? Here he is on the very bottom of the racetrack on the apron. He might be okay. He took a splash and dash. He's way ahead of these guys. How?
I'm very confused.
He's still going to get passed up, but he's going to be all right. Wow.
Someone's letting him in. Vincent Loria, he said he was going to let him in right here, and there it is. Vincent Loria lets Brian Smith in line for National Guard cars. Dominate the top 5.
4 plus Jacob Gladulich, and Gladulich is in their voice channel. So call it 5 leading this race that are all working together. We've added Gunther here. Eldred and Hersey still lurk somewhere, not in this group. But they are a part of that mission, so I would call it 7 cars that all have the same goals here, as here comes Brian Smith, Vincent Loria, and Jacob Smith all on the outside. And it's so interesting to me how often the 78 and 67 are at odds with one another, and yet how often they have to work together just like they are now.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend? Frenemies?
I don't know, something like that. They have gone from working together one race to being absolutely mad at each other the next, and it flip-flops back and forth. A reminder here as we watch the front group here with 8 laps to go in Stage 2, only the top 5 earn stage points. So, Smith and Loria now would earn the top couple of stage point positions. Then it would go down to Jacob Smith in third, then Kyle Purcell and Joshua Clemens, as there's a big block from the 78 to the 21.
Now comes the fight for stage points, Andrew. Everyone's pretty much not really holding back anymore from what it looks like. This pack is all by themselves. Nobody is close enough to them to make any form of challenge, but somehow, some way, shape, or form, at least 4 of the 6 National Guard cars have found each other on the racetrack. 3 of them were already grouped together. Now we have 4 together. So you've got Kyle Purcell up top, that is, trying to lead that charge. Clemens behind him, Lockett behind Clemens.
Ooh!
Now, big block out of the 21.
Onto Patty. Patty got blocked way up the racetrack there. Patty now going to control the top lane with Purcell in tow. There goes Nathan Finnegan, who gets blocked by Smith as well. Yeah, you can tell where alliances fall right now. Loria and the 2 Smiths are trying to hold the National Guard cars at bay, and Finnegan's going to break through that line of defense. Gladulich will go with him, but Patty is going to be singled out of that group. He's going to be pulled back there with the 21 car. And that's going to leave the 67 and 78 to try and control this race.
This is really shaped up to be one heck of a race now to the end of the stage.
A game of numbers. You get what I mean? It's 3 cars versus 6 right now.
That it is. Well, 4 now. 4 up top. 4v7.
Well, I mean more so. I mean, you've got 2 leading right now that are against the next 4 behind them. You've got the third car against those guys in Smith. So I guess it's 3v5 right now at the front of the field with a couple of stragglers, extras in Clemens and Purcell and Lockett. But you can tell just how much Loria and the Smiths are trying to hold the National Guard cars at bay, as Finnegan's going to go to the top side and will not be blocked this time. Yes, he will. There goes Brian Smith to the top of the racetrack along with Vincent Loria, 3 wide from Jacob Smith.
That was a big push in the corner from Jacob Smith. Finnegan all over the racetrack now. He gets that thing shuffled in. Jacob Smith hangs tough on the bottom line now. That was so close. The push in the corner really did not look very good.
There goes Finnegan straight to the bottom. He's going to bring Patty along with. They cut off the nose of the 21. Patty can't get in line. Lap 53. We're coming up to the end of stage 2. Gunther's going to get in line with the 30 car. And they run. There we go. The 30 gets in line in front of the 14. Now the 31 is left out. Gunther goes up top in front of Lockett. Up top, you're going to have Loria, Smith, and Purcell. Down low, it's Finnegan, Smith, and Patty.
The race is on. You'd think this is the race for the win, but this is the race for stage 2.
This is your top 11 cars. 10 of them are in the playoffs. 1 is not, and that's Jacob Smith.
Look at the single file pack right behind them. So far back. It's Jacob Smith now in the sucker hole. He's going backwards. Now he's going to fall in line on the bottom, back of the tail of the end of this line. I don't know where I was going there, but 3 wide now for the race lead. Loria falls back, does not go for the move. Finnegan leads the top, Patty leads the bottom, Gladulich in line behind Patty, trying to push him past Finnegan. Not clear just yet, but they're going to stay side by side all the way deep through this pack as they roll into turn 1.
3 to go in stage 2 now as Finnegan leads the race up top. He's got help from Loria and Brian Smith. Down low, it's Patty with help from Gladulich. And there we go. There goes the 67 out of line. He's going to bring the 78. They go down low. That leaves Finnegan up top with Purcell to push. But Jacob Smith is back in the middle. They're 3 wide down to turn number 3.
I don't know where Jacob Smith thinks he's going to go in the middle line, but he's definitely trying to make it work. He's trying as hard as he can. That's a big block right there.
Clemens into Finnegan. Clemens is going to spin. No, he just hangs on to the race car. Finnegan in the wall, and we're going to keep racing, but the top, it looks like 5 cars have broken away.
This is starting to become one heck of an aggressive race, as now it's a 5-car race. As we come back around to the white flag in the stage next time, or this time by really, Loria, Smith, Patty, Gladulich, Adam Ball. That's the top 5 that you got right now. 2 National Guard cars, a choose cone. and two drivers that seem to always be at odds, but still end up racing each other and helping out. As the pack behind now is starting to get doubled up. They were single file for the longest time, trying to catch up, but now they realize they're not going to get there in time, so the race is on. The bottom line falling back and the top line coming in once again as the momentum is forming up with that 42 up on the top line.
And all these guys are doing is racing for position at the end of the stage. That's about it. No stage points to be paid out to those bunch as we go one to go in stage number 2. It's Loria, it's Brian Smith, it's Ryan Patty, then Gladgelich and Adam Ball, who won stage 1 out front in your top 5. They have separated from Kyle Purcell and company, but Purcell is going to have a run.
You've got the top 5 just about locked in. Do you try to fight to get more stage points, or do you
There's the
hold
move.
back? There's the move, like you said. Kyle Purcell to the top. Jacob Smith hauling behind him. Zach Lockett right behind them as well. They're going to fall in, try to catch more draft. Loria's going backwards. Brian Smith is going to take over. He's going to lead him back to the line. Patty's looking around. He's going to the top. They're going to be side by side.
It's Patty at the line. Wow.
The caution comes out perfectly. Nope, that was Patty that threw it. That was an admin caution. I thought there was a spin behind. Someone said spin, but it looks like that is the stage caution right there. Patty timed it perfectly. Down to, he was so close. The margin at the line was 0.02 of a second, Andrew.
They must have heard what we said earlier about the caution being just a tick late and messing up the top 5, because they got it perfect that time. It was Patty Smith and I believe Gladgelich third, then Purcell maybe.
Purcell third, Gladgelich fourth, and Jacob Smith comes home 5th for the stage. And he just got that stage too. The stage for the last stage point was also 0.02 of a second between Jacob Smith and Zach Lockett.
Well, tip of the cap to Ryan Patty. That was a perfect drag race to the end. Wow.
You want to talk about wow? Vincent Loria, he was in position coming off of turn number 4 to win the stage. And now, he's not even getting any stage points. He ended up 7th out of that.
Everybody left him. That's the problem with leading on the last lap. We saw it with Kyle Busch last night. You get out too far, even just as the leader, even if you don't get out too far, everybody's going to leave you. Nobody wants to push you to a win. And even with Brian Smith there to the end, with that drag race between himself and Ryan Patty, Patty wanted the stage win. He left Brian Smith and had just enough of a run to go by. Being the leader coming out of turn 4, even into turn 3, is usually never how you want to do it here at Daytona. Pit stops, though, for the end of stage 2. Here we go.
See a lot of guys maybe thinking about taking tires. There you go. Our 2 leaders up on the jack for left side tires. And they're just going to fill her up and haul away. Ryan Patty's going to make it off pit road first. Brian Smith, Jacob Smith right behind. You see Kyle Purcell coming into a camera shot right there. Purcell for 4th. Who gets the race off pit road here? That looked like Lockett. I believe, no, that was not Lockett. That was the 24 that made it off pit road. That was Brock Hersey in front of Zach Lockett.
You're going to see repairs here for Nathan Finnegan. He's going to go all the way to the tail end of the field now and drop all the way down here to 29th spot. It looks like Robert Bluen, the only car behind him. Finnegan, of course, got walled in that incident with, who was that put him in the fence?
Jacob Smith.
Was it Jacob Smith or was it Clemens, I thought, that got him in the fence?
No, it was Clemens. Never mind, it was Clemens.
Regardless, the 6 car got put up in the wall and took on a solid bit of damage there, so Finnegan's going to take all the time he can to repair it, and we will dial up driver number 30, who goes on to win stage number 2, sweeping the stages as these National Guard cars have done so far. Congratulations, Ryan Patty, you're our stage 2 winner. How'd you get it done?
Hey, appreciate it. Just trying to stay around the front and get any stage points if I can. Obviously being in the playoffs, it's important. And it's situational. I mean, like you saw, I was kind of stuck there between 2 competitive cars, and when they got side by side, I figured I'd maybe push one to the stage win. And once we got clear, it came down to a 2-horse race, so I took advantage of it.
And very apparently, we've had a race of you guys controlling things out front. Gladgelich has been thrown into your National Guard pairing. Well, not even pairing, half dozen. So How important is it to maintain that control as this race goes on? We have pit stops looming ahead once again. How important is it to make sure you guys control these lanes as you've done all night?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much about controlling the lanes until you get down to the end of the race, or the end of the stage in that case, but really it's more about fuel and making sure that we pit together, because when we have green flag pit stops, as we expect here in this league race, you're not with a good group of cars that you know are going in with you, you're going to be in trouble. And, I mean, you saw there, I mean, the 78 almost got hung up to dry, and luckily he was quick enough to get in line and, again, racing up there for the stage win, but he's just that good. I don't think everybody has that level of skill.
And how important are these stage points as well when you look at the rest of the round? I mean, we're calling Darlington the most normal track of round one. That's not normal, although maybe you're pretty at home at Darlington, but how important are these stage points this early in the round?
Yeah, I mean, I like Darlington, but man, I mean, I don't know what round is normal if you look at all the schedules, but absolutely, I mean, I'm absolutely banking as much as I can now, expecting that there's a possibility I finish, 30th at the end of this race and wreck. So trying to get as much as I can early just to be safe.
Well, let's hope the 30 car doesn't match his car number on the result graphic. Ryan Patty, stage 2 winner, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Let's revisit those point standings one more time before we go green for stage 3. This is how they came into this evening. Brian Smith, the points leader. Vincent Loria in second. Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, third and fourth. They're the only drivers I feel like are any kind of safe right now, and even Patty could end up on the far side of the graphic in the red for next week at Darlington. Zach, this is a pretty crazy stacked top few, and then everybody else is real close together.
That they are. There is still all up for grabs at Daytona as the pace truck's going to make its way onto pit road once again. And into the Geico restart zone they go, Andrew.
36 laps remain. We're back green flag at Daytona. Immediately to the top side, the top 4, top 5 go, single file out ahead as the bottom lane will be led by the 24 Brock Hersey, making his first appearance up front all night long.
Up to the top right there on the outside line. There's a lot of momentum, Andrew. Adam Ball's the one side by side now with Brock Hersey. The first 5 are clear, but it looks like Hersey's going to close back up. Next to Zach Lockett, next to Jacob Smith. Here comes the bottom line train, Andrew. They are rolling back up to the front. Now side by side with Brian Smith as we roll across the line. This is starting to get a little heated. And look at Loria. He has not been afraid to get aggressive with these pushes.
No, he has not, and he pushes Brock Hersey to the race lead. Boy, wouldn't it be something if Hersey's able to go to victory lane this evening? Just pointed his way in at Michigan a week ago. What if he were to go out and win here at Daytona and punch his ticket to the round of 12?
It would be his best chance, really, other than Atlanta. As Loria now up to the top side of the racetrack.
With
Looks
Harper.
like he's going to take Timmy Harper. Yeah, Timmy Harper started all the way in the back, and he's worked himself up to the front of the pack now, separating those National Guard cars as Patty is right behind him on the top side. Brock Hersey now with a run once again, draws alongside Loria. Harper comes back with the push, but it looks like that bottom line is still rolling pretty solid as Sean Purcell has moved up. Romney behind them. The whole top 10 has been completely shaken up.
And you know what, Zach, what I'm realizing here is I think those drivers that were in the backpack, if you will, the second or third groups on the racetrack in stage 2, they realized how important track position was before the pit stop, because look at them. They're all up front now. You've got Romney, Purcell, Hersey leading the way. Harper's up here in the top 5. You've got Delph back up here. We've got guys that have not been at the front of the field all night long leading this race. I think they realized how important track position is. They went and got it here at the beginning of stage 3, and they're going to try and hang on to it the rest of the way until those pit stops.
You say pit stops, Andrew, but there's one thing that has been looming this entire race. We haven't talked about it once because we haven't had one. You see 2 cautions right there on the race info, but we haven't had an actual wreck trigger a caution. Those 2 cautions have only been the stages. We've been green flag racing.
Loria gonna get put in the sucker hole here. Nobody gonna help him, not even Jacob Smith.
Everyone's avoiding that middle line. Nobody wants to be there.
He's finally going to get in line in front of Charlie Widener, but he's going to go all the way down outside of the top 15 to about the 20th position before he finds a spot in lane. That is a big problem for the 67. He was just leading this race a moment ago, or at least fighting for it, and is suddenly 20th spot as we've got a few part-timers up in the top 5. Well, we had a couple anyway. We had Romney and Delph. Delph now down to the 8th spot as the top side comes alive. Ryan Patty leading the way with Brian Smith pushing him.
So much going on throughout this field. And I'm still waiting for the big one to strike. I am. I love the fact that these guys have been blitzing through this race, Andrew. They have absolutely blitzed my expectations for how this race has gone. We have only been racing. We've only been live right now for, what, a little over an hour?
Hour and a half.
They're just blitzing this race. But that caution, I know it for a fact, not even to have a commentator's curse here, that caution flag will come at some point when these guys dial up the aggression towards the end of this race.
Riding on board with Cameron Thompson. He runs at the 15th spot, and the bottom line goes nowhere there out of the corner. Lockett gets going forward, so Thompson will go with. We really have not visited anything but the very top of this field. It's been very much front-loaded as far as our broadcast coverage has gone, because that's where the action has been. Everybody else has been just kind of riding around from about 10th on back, but there you see, these guys have come alive. We're stacked up, pack racing here in Stage 3, and I think it's going to stay this way.
Come alive. We've been alive this whole time. The party is... Oh, Loria! Oh, my goodness. I don't know if you caught that, but he just got shuffled big time. Almost spun that car right around, but he got it gathered up. He's in the middle. Oh, my goodness. These guys are starting to turn it up. Maybe he has come alive.
I'm telling you, this race is getting going for the first time, really, since Stage 1. Stage 2 was very quiet, very calm at the front. This Stage 3 is about to be a completely different race, and now, just like Parker Retzlaff tried to play spoiler last night in the NASCAR Cup Series race, we're going to see these guys that are part-timers like Logan Romney, Jacob Smith, Brad Delph, Cameron Thompson. Maybe they are all part-timers, but they're out of the playoffs. Or part-timers, one of the two. They're out here trying to spoil this race and try to take a win away from these guys that are already in the round of 16. This could absolutely change the whole championship picture if one of them goes to victory lane and keeps a win from somebody who needs it.
4 of the top 5, well, now 5 of the top 5 actually, are all playoff contenders. The next playoff contender would be Clemens and Loria. They're in 9th and 10th, so you've got 3 part-timers, or not part-timers, well, you got 2 part-timers actually. We're all over the place right now. 2 part-timers and 3 of those drivers that are in the top 10 are not in the playoffs, with 2 of them being oh, Brzezowski! Oh, that was a big catch out of the 77.
Side by side now for the race lead. Patty up top, Smith goes down low. Everything calms down with Brzezowski. He gets in line and gets calmed down. Purcell now pushing Patty out to the race lead up top of the racetrack, lap 69 of 96.
Pulling up on lap 70 here, Andrew. That would put us just about, if not 1 lap short, on our pit window.
Here goes Purcell. And yeah, we're getting very close to that pit window being open. Thompson goes down low. 1 car gets shoved out of line. That's the 24 of Hersey. He's going to be on the very bottom of this racetrack all the way through the tri-oval. He just hangs on to the race car through the tri-oval on the apron. What a heads-up move by him. He's going to get in line somewhere at the very back of this field now, and that takes him from playing spoiler, maybe going to victory lane, to all the way to the back of the field, 25th spot. That is terrible.
That was insane. We got 1 car dropping out of line up there as well.
That's Christian Snyder.
Yeah, that's Snyder right there. In that 22 Dex machine. He's staying on that yellow line as everyone's starting to space out a little bit more. Like I said, Andrew, the pit window is open. And now these drivers are starting to realize, hold on a second, when did Finnegan get back there?
Remember, he stayed in pit lane for a while. He took those repairs at the end of the stage, and Gladulich went through the pit lane the first time to then pit the second time around and go to the back of the field. These two have been linked up together and are at the very back of this group now, seconds out of the draft, as Vincent Loria surges to the race lead with help from Jacob Smith. And we've got 3 wide. Brad Delph caught in the middle.
Lord of mercy, these drivers are really starting to turn the aggression levels up, and with pit stops ready to be underway, not too far away from where we are now, I really think that sooner or later these drivers are going to end up in the pit lane. Short pitting, I've totally changed my tune, Andrew. I think short pitting is going to be the way to go if you want to have a fast stop, less time in the box as Loria continues to lead on that top line. Kyle Purcell trying to surge ahead. Cameron Thompson pushing him forward. That's one driver we haven't seen up here most of the race. He's pushed him clear. Both of them are clear of Loria. Do they rotate to the top? Brian Smith clear of Loria. He goes up to the top line now. That leaves Sean Purcell open on the bottom to close that gap. But now the top line has more momentum to go forward, and Brian Smith is going to try to take that lead away.
The road racing strategy would be to go as far as you can on fuel and then take a short pit stop towards the end. And as I was saying, there would be to go all the way that you can on this tank of fuel, take less fuel at the end of the stage. That would have you in pit lane for as little time as possible. So if you're wanting to minimize pit stop time, that's how you do it. We'll see what these guys opt to do, as maybe getting out of this pack might be a little more beneficial to start with.
It is. See, Loria and Smith now side by side, leading both these lanes. Smith on the bottom, Loria up on the top. Brzezowski's broken his way into the top 10 as well. You see him right there off the right side of your screen. Jacob Smith. Caution on the speedway, Andrew. We got a spinner.
Snyder and Tuck. Well, Snyder's slow at avoiding it, but Stephen Tuck is our first casualty of the day. He goes around.
That's heavy damage on the rear end of that car. He's going to get it back rolling. There may be a toe link broken there. I'm not too sure. Everything looks okay, but I think he's crab walking.
That car is broken. We're gonna look back. We're gonna look back at it for car number 10. Down the back stretch, he's got help from Patinko behind. He's got Teseo to the inside. And let's see what happens at a turn 3. Yeah, he got sorted to the inside, and then Patinko was on his right rear. I think Tuck lifted for the slowing Brad Delph, and Patinko was there.
I don't think Patinko fully realized that he was alongside that 10 car. It's very easy to do here at Daytona. It's so easy to get alongside someone and not realize you're even there. There's the hook. Tuck goes straight into the wall. And then he backs it in right there. Hopefully he's able to get that car fixed enough to keep it on track for the night. I say that, and he actually has a black flag with, well, as Irish like to call it, the meatball flag. So his day may be done for the night. You saw a heavy front impact, a heavy rear impact right there. That's going to be an unfortunate end to that 10 cars night. He was doing so well early on.
Well, this is going to open up the pit lane to everybody to come in all at once, and this completely changes the scope of the race. This is no longer a pit stop race. Everybody could just go to the end on this tank of fuel once they fill up under this caution. So the game has changed, Zach, as everybody comes on in here, and we're going to wait on the 6th car. Then again, he's going to be the last car to pit, it looks like, all the way back there, or one of the last, with Blue and everybody else's cars are already out of their box. Look at this. Before Finnegan can ever make it to his box, you've got Finnegan leaving the pit lane, or sorry, Loria leaving the pit lane. That's incredible. A splash and dash.
I didn't see anybody go up on the jack, but that was definitely a stop worthy of 2 tires. Not a lot of drivers looking like they did take tires, so Loria's going to come out with the lead.
The first car taking any kind of tires, I think, is Thompson with 2.
I think it's a smart move. I think taking tires would have been a great move for these drivers to be able to hang on to track position while at the same time not giving up too much grip, because it's a rumor. I can't confirm it. A lot of people say that having tires is beneficial for restarts here. But then again, when you're all in the draft, what's it really matter if you have tires or not? As we see all the drivers flooding out of the pit lane, back behind the iRacing pace truck. And, you know, we see our first actual caution. I say actual caution. We've only had 2 stage cautions of the night. Does this play into yellows breed yellows or cautions breed cautions? Do we see more cautions now as the fuel strategy has been totally blown out the window?
This will definitely be the beginning of a new kind of race to the end. We're going to have less than 20 laps to go when we go back green, or maybe exactly 20 laps to go when we go back green. This is going to be an all-new race for these guys. Fuel no longer a concern, just straight-up race to the end of this one. Granted, Zach, we could see some drivers come back in on top off to make sure they've got enough fuel for what? Overtime.
Overtime. The one thing that you can probably count on. Well, actually, it's one thing you can definitely count on when you come to a super speedway. They say in life there are only 2 things guaranteed, death and taxes. Well, I think overtime at a super speedway falls into that category as well.
I would have to agree. This has been a very calm green flag night. At some point, it's going to come unhinged. With 30 cars left on the racetrack, now 29, at some point, something is going to change, and we're going to see these guys get after it, and the gloves come off. I thought it would be from the start of the race, and admittedly, Stage 1 was pretty exciting. Stage 2 was very quiet. Stage 3 has been quiet. I think that's going to change here on this restart as the pace car lights have been extinguished, and we're restarting this time by with 20 laps to go. While we do so, let's take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Zach, we've talked about it already, but Bristol coming up for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. Evan Patinko, who just missed out on the playoffs here in the Icon Cup Series. All of you Icon guys, you could cheer him on as he's trying to make the playoffs, the chase rather, in the Butt Kicker Cup Series on Tuesdays. He's so close. Had a great race this past week at California, right? No, where were we? Not California, it was Chicago. Yes, thank you. Man, David's going to hit me. David Levine is going to be mad at me for missing Chicago, but anyways, Bristol, a short track. We don't know what to expect. Anything can happen. Tempers can flare. They likely will. And it's going to be a can't-miss race, I think, for this BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, and maybe a preview of what to expect when the Icon Cup Series goes there.
It's a possibility. We can always think to expect that, and there's so many great places to watch along with Pit Stop TV for all the action coming up. And I would like to give a little shout out to one thing I don't think we've really had much before, a Pit Stop TV watch party. David Levine himself is streaming Pit Stop TV and watching along with a bunch of friends, and we thank you guys for your continued support here at Pit Stop TV as the pace truck pulls off into the Geico restart zone. Here we go once again, Andrew.
Loria in control of the field. Smith second, green flag back in the air. 20 laps to go at the World Center of Racing. Loria down low with Brian Smith. Jacob Smith up top with Ryan Patty. Kyle Purcell is there. Logan Romney's there. Sean Purcell even in the top 10. Here comes Adam Ball. Here comes Cameron Thompson. Nathan Brzezowski is with us as everybody gets formed up down the Daytona Superstretch for turns 3 and 4.
I don't know if you were thinking it, Andrew, but I was fully expecting Adam Ball to go straight into the middle lane with Cameron Thompson with the run he had just there. But he's playing the patient game. He's falling in line right behind Ryan Patty. They're going to try to keep that top line moving around. And look at that, Brian Smith and Vincent Loria working together once again. They take those 2 cars up to the top line, stack them up just a little bit. That's going to give Purcell on the bottom a bit of a chance to get a run. So now he's going to draw alongside, but it looks like Brian Smith and Vincent Loria are going to keep that top line moving steady.
Whoa, big move there from Patty. Straight to the inside lane goes the 30 car. He's going to try and command that middle lane now with what looks like Adam Ball pushing him. Romney gets out, and the 99 is spinning. Robert Bluin spinning down the backstretch.
Looks like he's in the grass. That's not going to be a caution. He's off the racing surfaces at Cartoon Network Chevy. So we're still rolling here. No caution on the speedway. Vincent Loria continues to lead. Ryan Patty now shifts to the bottom line. He's got Adam Ball with him. They're drawing alongside Loria. Give the nose in front to Patty as they roll into turn number 1.
We've got a bunch of you guys watching over on YouTube. We appreciate it. Let's get some likes going. I rarely say it, but we got a bunch of you tonight. Let's see if we can do it. As Ryan Patty takes control, and we've got a spin. It's Zach Lockett.
That's a playoff contender, Andrew. That's championship implications for that 93 car.
I see all four wheels, though, pointing the right direction. That's going to be a big hit to the nose, but these cars are resilient. He might be able to hang out at the back end of the draft and still make it through this race. It would be huge. It would be huge if he can just continue on. I think the car is okay suspension-wise, and that is a big, important part, a big, important detail here for these guys, as we'll see what happened. They stacked up ahead of him, and Curtis Bishop just hooked him. Wow,
yeah,
big hit for Bishop.
The accordion effect on that top line is a big problem when it comes to super speedway racing. It's something that you always got to watch out for. You can't expect it, or no, you can't predict it. Always expect, never predict. As there's the accordion effect, runs right into the back of Finnegan. The 34 gets into the back bumper of the 93, and that's a big hit. Like you said, I think that 34 car is going to be rightfully so damaged on that right front toe link. And I can confirm he's got some damage. Curtis Bishop does have some big damage. Anthony Tiseo also has some big damage on that car.
I think the left front of the 34 is junk, and yeah, sure enough, the left front is destroyed. That toe link completely broken, a lot more than the toe link. As he goes,
front seems broken as well.
Yeah,
look at that.
He has no steering. So he takes a toe to the infield. And how does this checkup start? Well, it all begins with the 227, it looks like. And I'm sure maybe it starts a little further ahead of him with a couple of guys lifting, but he really checks up here to turn one off the back end of Timmy Harper, and that just stacks these guys up to where the 93 gets turned around off the nose of the 34 car. There you see it again. Iseo there in the middle of it. He gets hit pretty hard, but Lockett, man, that is a big hit for somebody in the playoffs needing a good run. He comes in one of the drivers out by 1 point, so this is not a thing that he can have happen.
Like you said, Andrew, it's a new type of race. We have been caution-free, aside from the stage cautions, this whole race. Now we've had 2 cars wrecked out of this race, and one of them now being a playoff contender, Andrew. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Zach Lockett was one of those drivers who was only about +1 or -1.
-1.
Good. There you go.
Yeah, he comes in one of those drivers -1 to the cut line. That is, he had no other playoff points to help him. So he comes in just with the points that he earned this season to get him into the playoffs and put him at 2,000. Put him right at the cut line, if you will. Let's bring up that graphic one more time. There you see Lockett 13th, tied with Eldred, Purcell, and Hersey. And this is all going to shake up for Darlington next week. Let's revisit the schedule as well. And I think that's worth talking about.
Atlanta next week.
No, Darlington.
No, Darlington. I am...
Labor Day weekend, buddy.
Just saw the schedule graphic. I should have remembered.
Yeah, Darlington next week, Labor Day weekend. We're going to be racing on Labor Day, in fact, on September 2nd. But Darlington and Atlanta, and it's, again, so crazy to call Darlington the one normal track of the round of 16. It's the one place where these guys are able to control their own fate. And even then, it's going to feel like it's out of their own control with how close they're all going to be to the wall and how on edge those cars are going to be in the southern 60% of 500.
Got to find a way around that somehow. But it's crazy. Like you said, Andrew, the fact that Darlington is being the only normal race, and normal being said very lightly out of that round of 3 amazing tracks. And I don't know if you can agree with it. I know you and I have both been to Darlington many times to see just the great things that track offers, and I want to say it's a bit of a mix of a short track and an intermediate. It used to be the super speedway of the South when it first got built, because it was one of the biggest tracks around. You turned the highest speeds to that track where everybody wanted to go. But since we started having more actual super speedways like Daytona and Talladega, it turned into more of an intermediate track. But I still think it holds a lot of characteristics of a short track.
It is closer to a short track than a super speedway, that's for sure. Only 1 1/3 mile there at Darlington Raceway, and I would definitely say it's an intermediate that drives like a short track, because yes, you get high up on the bankings in 1 and 2, but you get real low and slow in turns 3 and 4, and you can see some big bump and runs as we've seen in the past. Now, Ryan Patty went to victory lane there in the spring on Mother's Day. We weren't there for it here at Pit Stop TV. We took Mother's Day off, but Ryan Patty could absolutely go back-to-back and win, well, sweep both Darlington races this season. Watch out for the 30 car next week. That's why it's so interesting that he's been as aggressive as he's been, knowing how good he is at Darlington next week.
I think Ryan Patty is going to be, if you are doing fantasy picks for the Icon Cup Series, put Ryan Patty on your fantasy lineup, but don't look too soon, because there are a lot of playoff contenders you could keep in your garage, as they like to call it for the NASCAR fantasy lineups. But Andrew, we've got about 16 laps to go. Excuse me, 14 laps to go as we take the green flag pace trucks off. Here we go again.
One more time, green flag in the air. Ryan Patty, Adam Ball, your front row. Green flag, it's back out at Daytona International Speedway. Side by side in the top 10, but not much. Just Loria and Smith up there. Everybody else single file on the very bottom of the racetrack and wrapping around the bottom of turns 1 and 2.
Top very broken up. Brian Smith, did not expect to see him go to the pit lane under the caution, because now he's all the way back there with Gladulich. That is a toss-up right there. Was not expecting that, and now he is making moves to put himself back up to the front, up to the 18th spot at the moment, ripping around that top line, but he's going to have to stack up for Finnegan, who's looking to make the middle line work. He's on the inside of that 72 of Delph. The middle line might start forming up as more and more drivers are looking to go in there and move themselves up to the front. We've actually got a train in that middle line.
Gilbert went down, Widener went down, Harper went down, and now Jacob Smith is going to block that advancement from the 12 car of Harper. And whoa, the 21 nearly gets hooked around. Harper aggressive on the back bumper of Jacob Smith. Now he goes down low. He's going to bring Charlie Widener along with him.
That was definitely a close call, as everyone is now starting to rotate back to the bottom line. Patty continues to lead. Ball, Purcell, Rom, Thompson, Brzezowski, Harper, Widener, Loria, and Gunther. That's your top 10, as Widener now goes up to the top in front of Vincent Loria, trying to make that top line have some momentum once again. More cars moving to the top. You see Jacob Smith popping out of line. Loria to the back bumper. He's pushing into the corner. That's a move that we did not expect to see until later on in this race, which it is now. Just over 12 laps to go. Widener, big time wiggle out of turn number 2.
Romney's going to move up and block the top lane. That's going to bring Widener to his back bumper. Romney now going to try and go forward. A part-timer making, what, his 3rd, maybe 4th start of the season. He's going to move up and now go to 4th spot, try to go forward even some more. Gets a bump there in the middle of the corner, gets him loose. He hangs on. Brzezowski's down low. Thompson's down low. But your top 3, Ryan Patty, Adam Ball, Kyle Purcell, controlling this race from the bottom lane and going nowhere. As in, they're not going to be passed up yet.
Just about. I say again,
I lost my train of thought there.
I say again, Brian Smith going to the back on this last caution. Did not expect that. That's going to be a big playoff shakeup.
Yes,
when it comes to the points total. He's going to lose quite a few points to the cut line. He's going to build a gap to those drivers that didn't get any stage points, but at the same time, he's lost a lot of ground as we look at the fact that we are 3 wide, 4 cars up on the top line. So we have a middle groove, we have a top line, and we have a bottom line. But that top groove is kind of merging with that middle line. You see 3 cars stacking up back there.
Loria nearly hooked the 42, but he's going to push him out to the race lead. I wonder if he asked him, hey, Logan, can you handle a push? And Logan must have said yes, because wow, the 67 just shot the 42 from 4th spot, clear to the race lead, and got himself clear down to the bottom. That was incredible. And there's a crash. Purcell in the 04.
They're going below the double yellow. They're off the racing surface. no major damage to those cars.
The 98 of Woods, the other car.
There's some heavy right front damage on that 98. Purcell trying to get that car back rolling. He's stuck, stalled out.
The left rear's broken.
Oh, no.
He's done. And no caution for that is going to be hugely detrimental. Here we go, side by side across the stripe. Loria takes over the race lead from Logan Romney, so he pushes him out there and ditches him the first opportunity he could get.
Curtis Bishop is taking that car behind the wall. He's out of this race as well. So multiple drivers taken out of this race tonight. So much left up for grabs. Romney leading that top line now. Loria leading the bottom. Jacob Smith with a big push. He's trying to find a way to move forward. And the only way he can move forward is to push that 42. And then the only place he can go is to the lead. And I say that, Loria passes him up on that inside line. So much still left up for grabs, Andrew. We are coming up 8 laps to go in this race here at Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. You want to win here so bad. It's one of the best places to win a race. And this is looking to shape up to be a part-time win for these drivers.
Yeah, Romney and Smith, the only 2 non-playoff drivers. Now 2 of 3 at Snyder's in the top 10, but 2 of 3 non-playoff drivers. Oh, Purcell got nearly hooked around. What a catch there from the 01 car. We came out of turn 2 when he was pointed to the inside wall, but he hangs on, gets back in line, and will continue on as Thompson and Patinko go down to help him. Wow, these guys are letting it hang. There they go. Loria in a crash.
The big one finally strikes here in
Brian
Daytona.
Smith. They're all wadding it up.
Oh, Brzezowski gets hit again by the 227. So many cars around. Brian Smith, Vincent Loria, drivers who were leading this race early on, out of this race. Jacob Smith, he's got an engine blowing up. Someone said that they were blowing up, and then all of a sudden, everyone starts coming into it.
Was it Loria? Because he seemed to maybe slow here. Let's watch from the tower. Oh, Jacob Smith blew up. He was so far on the back end of that 42 car. He had to have been the car that blew up.
He was. Jacob Smith, I can confirm, was the car that blew up right there.
Wow.
I don't know if he was completely blowing up. I think he was just red hot, too hot on that motor. And at the moment, no, actually. Yes, he blew the motor. There is smoke billowing out of the back of that 21 car.
Well, let's listen and watch the dash here of Jacob Smith, a part-timer out of Michigan, locked to the back end of the 42 car, pulled up. He lost the motor. It went straight to 70-something RPMs. Wow.
Big one finally rears its ugly head, and it took out quite a few playoff contenders. There you can see the smoke coming out of the back of that 21 car. He pushed too hard, Andrew. This is the big thing that was potentially going to happen. We made comments about it throughout the race. Keeping air on the nose, being aggressive with the pushing. It's something that needed to be expected. Drivers can blow that motor. They are not getting any air to that engine to keep it cool. There's the blow up. There's the contact with Loria. The 21 still coming down the racetrack, and then he slides back up into Finnegan, hits Loria, who comes down and takes out Brian Smith. Loria hits Finnegan again, comes down and hooks Brian Smith, and they were wrecking back there. Clemens hooked Brzezowski. They collect Charlie Widener. Everyone swings down to the bottom.
Wow. I hate to get so critical. I've made mistakes in my day of iRacing too, but when you're a part-timer up here racing with playoff drivers at a place like Daytona, you've got to be a little more aware of your temperatures and not have this happen. Let's play it at half speed again from the blimp. He goes up in front of Finnegan, or Loria, then up in front of Finnegan. That collects Brian Smith. I see Charlie Widener in it. Does he get through? No, he gets slapped by the 67 car. I see the 44 of Clemens get involved. Kyle Purcell has Patinko go off of his nose. This is just a really bad look if you're Jacob Smith. And I mean, mistakes happen, let's be honest as well. As critical as I want to be here because it takes out so many playoff drivers, mistakes happen. This is part of it, but this is just a hugely, hugely detrimental thing to have happen. a mistake that you can't have happen with, what, 5 laps to go at Daytona?
That it is. I always make sure to check my gauges and look at where my engine temp or my water temp is, or my oil temp, which a lot of people like to consider their engine temp.
I think he was trying. I think he was trying to push the 42 out and tandem out there, but what it ends up costing the rest of the field, is it worth it?
Can't say it is. See, everyone's still wrecking in the background. Loria, Smith, Widener, and I think the big takeaway here is, Andrew, multiple playoff contenders involved in this. You see Patty swing by, Adam Ball swing on by, Finnegan's involved, Widener's involved, Loria, Smith, and Finnegan are 3 notable playoff contenders because they're drivers who are in the top 4 in points. You've already heard Brian Smith, he was nervous about coming into this race, and well, his nerves have definitely been well placed as you see those 3 drivers right there, Widener, Smith, Loria, all come together like a sandwich, meeting in the middle, hooking each and every which way.
On board with the 6 car now of Finnegan. Nowhere for him to go. He's going to get by it, though, for the most part. He gets squeezed into the wall, but not so bad for the 6 car, and you consider what just happened. The 95, the 67, and the 78. I mean, those 3 in particular, I think, end up bearing the brunt of all of this through the corner. Watch this again, and they're going to have, I think, just about the biggest impact. The 67 into the 78, that's going to collect the 95. Those 3 drivers are 3 of the top 5 in the playoff standings, and they're all wiped out.
Yeah, if Loria was able to gather it up a little bit more before the contact, at least the second form of contact with Brian Smith, it probably could have eased the blow, but at the same time, you're rolling 160, 170 at that point. It's so hard to gather the car back up, so that contact was bound to happen, but now you have a part-timer leading this race, Andrew. You've got a couple of playoff drivers who weren't really up front throughout the majority of the race, now in contention for this win. Pace truck's off. Here we go again.
Logan Romney going to lead us back to the green flag. 4 laps to go at the World Center of Racing. Green back in the air. We're racing it to the end for the Icon Cup Series. This field, a shell of what it once was. Several cars down in the pit lane. Brock Hersey's back in this thing, 6 laps down.
Brian Smith back on track as well with no nose on that car. He knows he's got to stay in contention. He's got to try to get as many points as he can. Look at this, Andrew. They are fighting hard up on the top side. Adam Ball now leading the charge on the bottom. Ryan Patty moves to the middle. 42 back to the bottom. He's got the 19, the 12, and the 31 right behind him. We are 3 wide racing, not 4 rows back from the lead.
There's only so many ways you could arrange these National Guard cars to not have conflicts, and we're going to see these guys have to race each other to the end, I think. Now 3 laps to go at Daytona. We're going to see these guys have to work against one another. Yes, they can work together, but somebody's got to win this race, and it's only one driver that can go to victory lane as Romney leads. Harper now in control of the top side. Romney's going to move up and block the 12 car. He's going to get hooked for it, and wow, how do they hang on?
That is 3 wide racing now as everyone's gotten stacked up. Timmy Harper's in the sucker hole. Everyone's trying to go down with him.
One down to the inside. That's Blewin. That's the 99. Can he hang on? Going back up the racetrack. He just hangs on to the race car.
How did they not crash, Andrew? These drivers are being aggressive, but they're not wrecking. 2 laps to go. We need to make one more circuit to bring it around to the white flag. Adam Ball, Cameron Thompson, Ryan Patty, your top 3. Ladies and gentlemen, place your bets now. You've got so many fans watching on tonight, thinking about who's going to win this race. Well, tell us now. Tell us who you think might be able to win this race, or do we see another attempt at a caution flag and our first attempt at overtime, as you've got Patinko now up on the outside line. Can he lock himself in for a win tonight? But he's falling back. Everyone's separating as we roll down the back straightaway, the top 3 by themselves. Brad Delph's trying to find a way up, but here comes Timmy Harper with a big run up to Ryan Patty. No, that's not Ryan Patty. That's Nathan Finnegan.
1 lap to go, this time by. White flag is in the air at the flag stand. 1 lap to go, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Ball, Thompson, Patty, Delph, Finnegan, your top 5, they've broken away.
Look at the 3 wide right behind them. Timmy Harper on the bottom. Finnegan, I believe that was. No, that's not Finnegan. I'm confusing all of these National Guard cars now. It was bound to happen at some point. Finnegan's at the tail end of that top 4 or top 5 battle as Purcell now has moved in his shot. Finnegan goes high. He's trying to make a charge. He's not going to have enough momentum. Delph now, the only car behind in this 4-car group. Clemens to the bottom. When do you make the move, Andrew? They're coming off a 3 and 4.
Cameron Thompson's in the catbird seat. He's got an opportunity here from turn 4 to the stripe to make something happen. He goes up. He's got no help. Patty's going to stick with Adam Ball and put Adam Ball into the round of 12.
What a race to the line there. That was one exciting finish to this race.
Those National Guard machines were in control all night long. Cameron Thompson took a move. He made a move, took an opportunity. But when you put 2 of these guys nose to tail, they weren't going to leave one another. Patty's got points to the cut line. Ball didn't. He was just about on the cut line. Now he's got no worries the next 2 weeks. He is straight through to the round of 12 to continue fighting for a championship.
What a performance by these National Guard cars. Did we not say it, Andrew? One of these National Guard cars was going to go to victory lane tonight, and Adam Ball is going to be the one to do it for him. 6 of them on the racetrack, 1 of them to victory lane, and I think Adam Ball has got to be on cloud 9 right now, realizing that he does not have to worry about 2 tracks that could potentially be race ending for him. And now he's going straight in, like you said, to the round of 12 to keep fighting in this championship fight.
He's going to spin that car around and bring it back to the tri-oval here at the World Center of Racing. You said it earlier, one of the coolest places to get a race win, whether it's real life or an iRacing. Harrison Burton was absolutely beyond elated last night to go to victory lane. And this whole team, they came in here with one objective, to put one of them through to the round of 12. That's exactly what they did. Most of them running at the end, one of them winning the race. This is exactly how they drew it up. Adam Ball to victory lane and to the round of 12 in that number 19 car. And we don't know what's going to happen with the standings. We saw so many cars involved in that big one in turns 3 and 4. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be where. Everything's going to be shaken up next week in Darlington, South Carolina.
That it is.
Let's go back and take a look at what happened on that last restart. Mostly that last lap. There was a crash at the end, but this is where Thompson was eyeing up his opportunity, trying to figure out where he wanted to go. And frankly, looking back at it now, Zach, I think he should have moved out of turn 2 just because it would have forced these guys' hands a little bit sooner.
It could have, but
if you're in a sandwich like this and you jump out, yes, you're taking an opportunity, but you know they're going to stay together.
You got to play that move. You got to play it right, Andrew. It's so hard to actually figure out when the move needs to be made because anything can happen in just that couple of football fields stretched to the line. You know, you want to try to go top, you want to try to get some help, and you want to see if they can propel you forward, but at the same time, the run might not be there soon enough. You may make that move early and it fizzle out. You may make it late and it still fizzle out. You never know.
To the flag stand. Everybody together until the very end. It looks like there was a couple of crashes after the line, but everybody held it together until then. So props all around. What a finish here at Daytona. It wasn't the flashiest. It wasn't the big side-by-side, door-banging kind of finish. The field got strung out. But for Adam Ball, it was perfect. It was exactly storybook written up just for him. There was no way the 30 car was going to leave him hanging. It was going to be down to the 7 and 72, and Brad Delph simply wasn't there out of turn 4, so the 7 was on his own to try and make something happen. And props to Cameron Thompson. He gave it his all. He gave it a shot, but there was no way he was going to beat those teammates to the line.
No way, Jose. It was not going to happen. I think that was a great move by those teammates to stay hooked together. I know they all wanted to win, but at the same time, Adam Ball was the one who was leading. I think it was smart to push him. You're all getting points. You're all going to make sure that your playoff spots are going to be defended. I think smart move, just stay in line. Push him to the win.
On board with Cameron Thompson to the stripe here, and you can see he took his opportunity. It was all he could do. Just nowhere to go. Well, there was everywhere to go and nobody to help him. We'll watch one more time here from the onboard of Ryan Patty in that number 30 car. Pushing third all the way up until turn number 4. Again, Zach, it was just as they drew it up. The National Guard car is in control here this evening. We're going to talk to our race winner this evening, Adam Ball, along with second and third place, but we'll just watch this one more time from Ryan Patty's perspective. I don't think there's anything else that Cameron Thompson or anybody really could have done. You have so many of them left, and that big one took so many other cars out. It was always going to be this way. They had the numbers. I talked about earlier, a game of numbers, a numbers game. They had enough at the end. That's all it took.
That they did. And it's what won them the race here tonight.
We'll go back and talk to our race winner this evening. He won stage 1. He comes back here at the end and wins the race to move on into the round of 12. Adam Ball, congratulations. How much more perfectly could you guys have drawn that up?
I don't know that we could have. Having Patty there in third coming to the line, I knew Thompson was going to go high, and I had a 99% chance Ryan was going to stick with me, so that made my choice pretty easy what to do.
Yeah, we've talked about it already. There was no way the 30 was going to leave your back bumper there to the end, but is there anything maybe that you wish you could have changed to bring more of you guys to the end, or was it really just always going to play out that way?
You can try to do anything you want at Daytona. It's never going to work. I mean, we could have tried to keep all the other Biffle cars up there, but I think we did well. We had the top 2 plus a few more in the top 10, so it worked out pretty well.
And how big of a relief is it for you to be on through to the round of 12 now, not have to worry about Darlington or Atlanta, and just start focusing on Watkins Glen, Bristol, and Kansas?
That is amazing. Because in this one, having 2 super speedways, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. And then Darlington, same way. You could be running great and then just spin out on your own. So getting through this on the first race, really nice.
Adam Ball to victory lane, 6 laps led. One of them was the most important one at the end. Congratulations, Adam. Good to talk to you twice in one night. That's always a good thing. We were talking to us at the end of the race, this time as the race winner. Congratulations.
I did say top 3s for the rest of the year last week, so we're on pace.
That you are. Adam Ball goes to victory lane here at Daytona. Was in the top 3 last week at Michigan. And he said it. I remember that now. Top 3 is the rest of the season. Let's see if he can keep this streak up the next couple of weeks. Who knows? But Zach, second place this evening is Ryan Patty. I'm sure he's just as happy.
They say if you're not first, you're last, but Ryan Patty, definitely, I could say this is a win for you tonight. The shake and bake worked out in your favor for you and Adam Ball. Tell us how your race went, and I mean, did you think you were going to be able to take that win away?
I had very slim hopes that they were going to get side by side and I'd be able to take them 3 wide, but man, I can't be more and more excited for Adam Ball. You know, he's been racing with us for many years here, and I think it's been like 2 or 3 years since he's had a win. So this is absolutely huge for the team and for Adam. I think I might be more excited for Adam's win than I have for the couple of wins I have this year. He's just so deserving for this, and he's been working so hard to get there. So it's great to see it.
Well, a win and he's into the round of 12, and you definitely did a good job of keeping your points total alive. You were one of the drivers who were in that top 4 in the point standings that had a very good cushion to the cut line when it comes to the round of 12. And with the rest of your contention, well, the rest of your contenders in contention for this round of 12, being involved in a lot of incidents tonight. Do you think your points total is going to be helped out with the fact that you finished second tonight? And
Yeah,
got
I mean-
base points too.
Oh yeah, I mean the stage win was huge for 8 points, and then I got I think third place in the other stage, so that was great. Plus leading laps. I can't say I'm sad to see the 67 and the 78 get caught up here. You want to see everyone race to the finish, so it's kind of a bummer there. But we'll take the points, and it's definitely going to help us out going into the next 2 races. I really a big fan of Darlington. I love the track. I think as long as we can keep it clean, we'll probably walk away with the top 5, and then hopefully we'll build up enough of a cushion that we don't have to be too nervous going into Atlanta, because that's definitely another wild card race. But I got to tell you one thing. I thought the race was over there. That big wreck coming to the end, I don't know if you guys saw it. Me and the 42 got together racing for the lead there. I think we just started to door bang by accident, and I thought the car was damaged and I might have broke a toe link, but thankfully it was good enough to be able to push and hang on for a P2.
I believe we saw that, Andrew. That was when the 42 went up into the wall from that big block on Timmy Harper.
There was a lot going on there at the end, but Ryan, thanks for your time. We'll go down and get third place this evening. It'll be none other than Cameron Thompson. Haven't talked to him in a hot minute. And we'll grab driver number 7. He was the only other driver that had a big opportunity towards the end of this race. No laps led for you, Cameron, but you were up front in the back end of stage 3, an opportunity at a turn 4. Is there anything else that you could have done?
I was just hoping Ryan would go with me, and he never did. That's literally all out of turn 4, you're just hoping for that help coming out of the corner. I had the run on Adam. I got to his quarter panel, and Ryan just pushed him to the win. So, I mean, sucks, but I don't know. Our goal tonight was just help Timmy, try to get some points, and maybe push him to the win. Once he kind of fell back on those last few laps, we just, sacrificed him and did the best we could there.
And you're not in the playoffs this season, couldn't quite make it. I think missed a couple of races this season anyway. How gloves off is it, though, to help out Timmy Harper and go out there and get some good runs for yourself the rest of this year?
Always just practice now, trying to get better for next season, seeing what we can do to help Timmy get some points and see if we can get a deep playoff run for him.
There you go, Cameron Thompson, third place this evening. Had an opportunity, took the opportunity, just didn't work out as you had teammates down low. Cameron, congratulations on third place. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, guys.
Cameron Thompson walks out of here with the top 3. Still a good day. Certainly, I think disappointment is warranted with the way the finish went for him, but still a really good day for him, Zach, and walks out of here with a solid finish. That does it for us, though, with the on-track activity here at Daytona International Speedway. Next up, it's out to Darlington, then Atlanta for the round of 16. 2 crazy racetracks, that's for sure.
That they are. Darlington, Atlanta always have amazing finishes, and I think we're in store for one of those, hopefully, but a lot of drivers walking out of Daytona with upset moods because they knew that they could have won this race. Drivers like Loria, Smith, they had great runs, and ultimately it got cut short.
Well, walking out of Daytona International Speedway onto Darlington and Atlanta, we don't know how the points are going to look, but make sure you tune in next week for us on Monday, September 2nd, when we go to Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Going to be a lot of fun for us, but before we get there, Zach, a couple of big-time races. We go to Bristol with the BRB Buckaker Cup Series, then we go to Slinger Speedway with the 1-8 Racing Media National Tour for the Sim Auto Racing Association and their super late model. It's going to be a lot of fun this coming Thursday on August 29th, and boy, just a lot of great racing, a lot of great short track racing coming up.
Absolutely, and plenty of places to watch along here at Pit Stop TV, www.pitstoptv.com. Andrew finally got all that stuff updated on the website. It looks absolutely amazing. You should absolutely go check it out. It's a great website to look at all the great stuff we offer here at Pit Stop TV. And then you've got facebook.com/pitstoptv, instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, youtube.com/pitstoptv1, one of the best places to watch along with Pit Stop TV, and then x.com/pitstoptv_. So many great partners here at Pit Stop TV as well that make all this happen. And I know you're excited for a few things that are coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that I am. Everything with Cody Williams Design has been a lot of fun so far, and we're going to have some really cool paint schemes coming to Pit Stop TV very soon, and some of our graphics and our supplementary material, if you will. But keep an eye on that as we move forward. A big thank you to Whiplash Simcam's ATVO and CC's Business, and now Cody Williams Design, revving up our style here at Pit Stop TV. That'll be it for us this evening from Daytona International Speedway. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure as always. The Icon Cup Series and the Icon Cup Series playoffs, race 26 is complete. Next up, it's out to Darlington. Do not miss it. For myself and Zach Burtis, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.